Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sportsbook Confidential. My name is John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And we're going to continue our NFL previews this week. We're going to do the NFC North today and talk about the Packers, the Bears, Lions, and the Vikings. And we're going to talk about Week 2 in the CFL and how frustrated I am with the lines, and there's also some NASCAR, and I'll have a few bonus picks for you at the end of the program, so stick around for those if you must have action on something this weekend. But before we do any of that, let's do what we always do and update my bankroll. And last week we had a starting bankroll of $321. I only had one wager, and that was the Hamilton Tiger Cats minus 2.5. That actually closed at minus 1.5. I was pretty confident, but Hamilton was not prepared for that game. Masoli looked out of shape. Brandon Banks played like a petulant child. He was obviously the MVP or the MOP of the league last year. Minus $11 to the bankroll. Congrats to the Blue Bombers for defending their title with a win. New bankroll, $310. Bet size going forward, $10 as we divide by 30. We like to keep it somewhat selective and not make too many wagers. So let's get right into it, and let's get started with our NFL preview of the week. And, of course, we are going with the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, going north to south. This division was up in the air for a long time because of the Aaron Rodgers situation, but he is going to play for Green Bay this year. So the odds are back on the board, and let's start with the Packers. Excuse me. The Packers are the favorite to win the division at minus 142. They're near the top to win the NFC at plus 699, basically 7-1. And to win the Super Bowl, about 13-1. I think that's priced pretty accurate. I bet heavy on Green Bay last year to get to the Super Bowl, and they hosted the NFC Championship game. And that was a frustrating wager for me because I let it ride and I didn't hedge. And Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions, and he still won. So let's take a look at the Packers. Quarterback, we've got Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love as the backup. Running back, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon as the backup. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Tight end, Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis. There's just massive offensive weapons here. The left tackle, Bakhtiari, still on the IR. The right tackle, Stepniak, is off IR. If you remember Bakhtiari, he was crushing beers in the playoffs at the Milwaukee Bucks games. Hopefully he will be ready to go. The left side, of course, is the blind side of the quarterback. Mason Crosby, the veteran, as the kicker. And we've got a 4-3 defense, depth at all positions. The defensive end, Kiki, outside linebacker Smith, and quarterback King, they're all on the non-football injury list. It's still early in training camp. You know, we've got 4 more weeks before the regular season starts. They could all be fine to go by week 1, but it's something to keep an eye on. If there's 3 defensive starters out at week 1, you are definitely looking at betting an over there because you know Green Bay can score, and whoever they're playing will have a better chance of scoring. So my comment on the Green Bay team is, can LaFleur take the big step forward? And we all know last year that in that NFC title game, and Green Bay was coming back, and they had that 4th and 2 on the 2-yard line, 4th and goal with 2 yards to go, and they decided to kick a field goal. Big head scratcher. I hope it was a learning experience. He has had massive regular season success, but not freezing up in the playoffs and just going for it. Maybe trusting Aaron Rodgers a little more to make those decisions. I know Aaron Rodgers and the front office don't always see eye to eye, but I do think that he has a solid relationship with the coach. And, LaFleur is still young. He's not, he's early 40s, I believe. he's got lots of time to win a championship, but he doesn't have a lot of time to win one with Aaron Rodgers. So hopefully they'll get it together and make a deep run. So let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. And to win the division, I believe they're the second favorite at plus 240. To win the NFC, about 17-1. And to win the Super Bowl, about 35-36-1. Of course, I pulled these odds off of Pinnacle online. If you shop around, you may find very different odds. So I always say that. So if you find a bet you want to make, shop around because you may find much better odds than what I'm posting up here today. So a quarterback, you've got Kirk Cousins, and then Kellen Mond is the backup. The running back, Dalvin Cook and Amir Abdullah. That's a good tandem. However, Dalvin Cook has had injury problems throughout his career. I can only remember maybe one season in the last 3 where he's gone the whole season healthy. When he's healthy, he is a game changer. He is almost Adrian Peterson level. So hopefully he is back and healthy. Wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Busy Johnson. Tight ends, Irv Smith and Tyler Conklin. Good set of weapons. Injury, Justin Jefferson's coming off an injury. The kicker, the number 1 kicker at present is Greg Joseph. And then Christian Darrisaw, their 2020 draft pick, is on long-term injured reserve. Hopefully he will be in by the start of the season. If he doesn't come off LTIR, then he's going to miss the first 6 games. There's no natural left guard on the roster at the moment. 4-3 defense, and the starting defensive end Hunter is coming off the IR. No depth at safety. I think they have 2 strong safeties and 1 free safety. Health and consistency. This has been the problem with the Vikings for the last couple of years. You know, when they make the playoffs and they're healthy in the playoffs, they are a force to be reckoned with. However, the health and consistency, Dalvin Cook staying healthy, wide receivers staying healthy, and then consistency, Kirk Cousins has had some bad games. There have been some turnover issues. There's been when this team becomes a one-dimensional team, either all run or all pass, it stalls. It needs to have that blend in the offense. It needs to have both sets of weapons being potential damage to the opponent. So I feel like health and consistency is just the mantra for the year. Stay healthy, be prepared, rest players when you can, and take care of business. If they do that, they have a legit shot to win this division. I really think so. So we'll see how it all plays out. Then let's move on to Detroit. Detroit is the long shot to win the division, which is a huge understatement. Almost 29-1 to win the division, yet only 49-1 to win the NFC. And to win the Super Bowl, 102-1. I've seen them as high as 250-1 to win the Super Bowl. Jared Goff and Tim Boyle are the quarterbacks. This is actually a pretty good running back combo, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. And then the wide receivers, Brett Perryman, Williams, and Karez Cephas. You start to say who after Perryman. The tight ends, TJ Hawkinson and Brandon Fells. Randy Bullock is the kicker. He's a serviceable NFL kicker. The starting center, Ragnow, is currently the highest paid center in the league. He's coming off IR. Hopefully he can stay healthy. A 4-3 defense. There's depth all around. And offensive line Maven is coming off the IR. Outside linebacker Maven is coming off the IR. So the big news with the Lions, of course, is Jared Goff being traded for Matt Stafford, and then Dan Campbell as the new head coach. And, he's a former player and has a solid NFL football pedigree. He's played for 4 different franchises, and he's coached for 4 different franchises, including being the assistant head coach in New Orleans for 5 years. So they need just a tremendous culture shift in Detroit. They need to feel like they don't want to be disrespected anymore. They need to play with chippiness, as I've written here. This is the kind of attitude I'm hoping Dan Campbell will bring to this team. But Jared Goff needs to play with some chippiness. He has top 10 quarterback skills. There's no question he does. Whether he's lackadaisical or he didn't get along in LA or the wore out his welcome, I'm not really sure. But they didn't want him anymore, and he needs to play like he wants to show them every week that they made a mistake letting him go. And if that is the case, this team is really not that far off from having a winning season. Obviously, they've got to stay healthy. They've got to stay healthy on the offensive line. The defense has to stay healthy and improve. The defense, gave up a lot of points last year. They play. The NFC is so tough. There's so many good offenses, but this team needs to change its culture. And if that culture shift occurs, the turnaround will be actually very rapid, I believe. We will see. We'll see if the Lions just have more bad luck or they get more injuries. But when a team is 30-1 to win the division, you almost got to put a few bucks on it. Last year the Washington football team, the formerly known as the Redskins, were 30-1 to win the division, and they did. So when those odds get that high, it's almost worth it to put a few bucks on it. All right, let's move on to the Bears. And the Bears to win the division, plus 435, yet to win the NFC 30-1, and to win the Super Bowl about 73-1. The Bears decided to go with quantity, not quality, at quarterback. They have Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and they drafted Justin Fields from Ohio State, who apparently is impressed in camp. But we all know that there are very few quarterbacks that have come into the league as a rookie and been able to really, carry a team. Dak Prescott did very well. Recently, you can go back to like Dan Marino. But, Peyton Manning, John Elway, some of the best quarterbacks ever, their rookie seasons were learning experiences at best. So you don't expect Justin Fields to come in and take this team over and carry them to a championship. That's just unrealistic. You've got running back David Montgomery, Damian Williams, and then Tariq Cohen is still on the IR, and they're very reports are that he may be out for a long time. And, he was an integral part of their offense. He was kind of like that Giovanni Bernard type slot receiver, screen pass catcher, very fast. We hope he gets well. I enjoyed watching him play. I hope he comes back soon. But Damian Williams and David Montgomery is a solid power running combination. And you would think that might be the strategy for this team, is a lot of power running with play action and deep balls. And then you've got Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Damiere Byrd as their top three wide receivers. Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham as the tight ends. Jimmy Graham is in the news recently with complaints about COVID vaccination requests from the league. Cairo Santos is the kicker. Kicking has been a problem for Chicago for ever since they got rid of Robbie Gould, basically. Left guard Whitehair was just added to the COVID list. He hopefully should be ready to go by week 1. The defense is healthy. All the stars are back. They run a 3-4, and they have one player listed at defensive tackle, which basically would be the nose tackle. So there's no depth there, but they have a lot of edge rushers. You will see a lot of that, obviously in passing situations. You may not see a lot of interior line sets. So the big question here is, will a quarterback prevail? This team needs points. And that's, the defense can do it on some days, but they can't do it every day. So this team needs to score points. We saw how Andy Dalton struggled in Dallas last year. He was kind of thrown in, in week 5. He didn't really, he was basically, hired as a backup and not really expected to play much. He's probably going to start in week 1, but one of these quarterbacks is going to have to pick it up and take this team to a consistent level of 21, 24, 27 points a game. Maybe they do it in the return game from time to time. Maybe, but I feel like if their running backs are healthy, their active running backs are healthy, you're going to see a lot of pound and ground with play action deep balls. Allen Robinson is one of the premier receivers in the league. If as soon as somebody puts 8 in the box, you got to throw a deep one to him or over the middle or something. Set up a play for him. So, yeah, this team is all about improving the offense. The defense is already there. If they can find some consistency, this team could be competitive. This team could be a playoff team. Just get enough points to win. That's how I feel. So, I hate that as far as the division goes, Green Bay is obviously the favorite. I feel like the Lions are totally disrespected with those numbers. They're not that bad, but it may take a year or two for them to turn it around. And I think the Bears are a little over loved here by the bookmakers. The Bears are a very popular public team, so they're going to get a lot of money on them. So their odds are not as great as I would want them to be. But that's how I feel about the NFC North, and I hope you found some value there. Maybe you'll find a bet you might like out of that, or some fantasy help. So let's move on. Let's go right to NASCAR and the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. So another new road course. So last week was Watkins Glen, and Kyle Larson won the race. Chase Elliott failed inspection, so he had to start from the rear of the field. He ended up driving through the entire field and finishing second, 3 seconds behind Kyle Larson. He was the fastest car by far on the track. I watched that race. I did have a bet on Chase Elliott, obviously, before I found out he started last. But this week he's a heavy favorite. So the Indy road course is inside of the oval, and it comes around by the start-finish line, by the pits. So there's that one sweeping long straightaway. But this is the first time that NASCAR has ever raced there, the Sprint Cup or the whatever they call it, the Monster Energy Cup or whatever the sponsor is these days. So you've got Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson as heavy favorites here. But the veterans actually have pretty great odds here. Harvick at 28-1, Logano 25-1, Keselowski 40-1, Hamlin 12-1. Most of these guys have zero experience on this course. So I think it's kind of similar to the Daytona road course, which they raced at, and Ryan Blaney won that race. But the difference between the Daytona course and this course is the Daytona course had very small infield lanes. You could barely fit cars side by side. Where this course, you can go 2-3 wide on the infield part of the course. So the more turns and the more space to pass benefits Chase Elliott. He has the most road course wins in the last 3 or 4 years. He's been the fastest car on turns on road courses. I think at plus 200, he's still a good deal. I really like him this week. And assuming he doesn't start last, like him to win. I think he's minus 220 for a top 3. So if you wanted to bet him in the top 3, that's laying a little bit of juice. But I think that's a pretty safe bet. All righty. Let's go to the CFL. And all I can tell you is I am mystified at the sports books not being able to put up lines for these CFL games till hours before the game starts. And they just don't care. They don't get any money on it. I don't know. But I watch all the games. I enjoy betting on it. I've been successful betting on it over a long period of time, even though I lost last week. And I actually won last night with the BC Lions. And if they don't get any money on the games, I don't understand why they just don't put a line up, because they're not going to get any action on it. So there's obviously a reason why they don't want to put it up. But I think it's the most exciting football league in North America, and I enjoy watching it, and I hope you get to check it out. Tonight we got the Toronto Argonauts at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This line just came out. The Blue Bombers are 6.5-point favorites, 47.5. So we're 5 games into the CFL season, and the underdog has covered every game. The underdog has won outright 4 of the 5 games. And I feel like this trend will continue with this game. I don't think Toronto overperformed against Calgary. I just think Calgary was tremendously overvalued last week. We saw Calgary last night. They've lost 2 in a row at home. They have an aging team. Bo Levi Mitchell for Calgary is not able to throw the deep ball as well as he used to. They're on the verge of rebuilding. And the Beastie, was not a great team, but they are a good team, and they showed that last night with 4 interceptions for Bo Levi Mitchell. I'm not a huge fan of McLeod Bethel-Thompson for Argonauts. He's a serviceable quarterback, but they signed a lot of free agents on both sides of the ball, James. And the Blue Bombers' defense is legit. They showed that last week, although I think Hamilton came in unready to play. At 7 points, I really like the Argonauts here to cover. The Blue Bombers had it a little too easy last week. There was no pressure on the quarterback until the late third quarter. I don't think Zach Collaros ever got hit. And this is a guy who has a huge injury history, has concussion history. If somebody gets to him, it's a game changer. If he's not in quarterback, their options drop off tremendously. So if Toronto is as good on defense as they were last week, I really like them to cover here. I don't know what to say about the totals. The totals are, defense when there's no preseason and teams are still on their learning curve. The defense dominates early, then the offense starts to come around. So on Saturday, we got 2 games. The Montreal Alouettes at the Elks. Elks lost on the last play of the game at the 1 yard. They were stopped at the 1 yard line, about to go in for the win. It was a tough game, but they just had too many mistakes on their end of the ball. Montreal hasn't played that yet this year. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I think Montreal's a sleeper for the Grey Cup. I believe that they're 12-1 right now to win the Grey Cup. I think that's great value. I'm going to place a bet on Montreal to win the Grey Cup at 12-1. This game, we have no idea what the line is. It's hard to say. I think this is going to be a competitive game. If Edmonton gets, I think it'll probably end up being -3.5 for Edmonton. But, if it's a touchdown, I'm going to take the road team again. I mean, until until teams have significant injury histories or significant data to make projections, I'm going to this is a parity league. It's 6 of the 9 teams make the playoffs. Getting a touchdown or more, it's very rare that you get double digits in the CFL. And then finally, Saturday night, Tiger Cats at Rough Riders, a second tough road game for Hamilton. If it's 3 or less, I like the Rough Riders. -3 or less. If the Rough Riders are getting points, I'm all over it. Tiger Cats did not impress me last week. They need to do a lot better. If Masoli has a bad first half, I would not be surprised to see Dane Evans in the game as their replacement in the second half. So they've got to improve in the passing game. You can tell that their receivers dropped a lot or there was a lot of miscommunication on the receiving end. And the Tiger Cats start out 0-2. That's going to be real bad for their championship hopes. All right, and let's get to my picks, and I've got some bonus for you. So, of course, I'm going to take Chase Elliott at +200 in the NASCAR race. And because I didn't have any CFL odds, I'm going to go with some MLS soccer. And I've got I got 3 plays. I'm going to take the New England Revolution +150, LA Football Club +150, and Montreal and New York Red Bulls to draw at +250 a half unit. So we'll see how that works out for me. We didn't really talk about soccer today, but it was a football day. Of course, I use expected goal differential to handicap my soccer games. And you can look that episode up on YouTube under Sportsbook Confidential if you don't know what that is, and explains how I handicap soccer. And maybe that'll be helpful for you too. So thanks for joining me on this hot, humid day. enjoy the sunny weather. Check out all these great sports this weekend. We'll be back with another NFL preview next week. So let's play the outro music and let's get some winners, folks. Thanks. Take care, everybody.